Hey, Court, welcome back. It's been almost a year since we last saw you in the cage, and I'm just wondering, I mean, you're sitting on the outside, kind of looking at all the craziness going on in the world, and then fights get back underway. I mean, have you been eager to get back in? Were you taking the cautious approach? What was kind of your mindset with all this going on?
Well, I mean, it was definitely strange for everybody. For me, like in the fall, I had the wrestling season, so we were, and like COVID hadn't hit. There was some talk about it. So I was helping out with like the high school wrestling season with some high schools around, and then working with my oldest son who's 13. Um, and then it was like, okay, now it's first of the year, it's fight time, and then COVID hit about a month later, and so everything was postponed. And then it was like, um, looking for a fight, no matchups, trying to get it figured out how we're going to do training because all the gyms were closed. Traveling to Hackelman's or traveling to Mark Montoya's was kind of out of the question. And then also, when I did get the call, it was like training was different, as in the majority of my practices were at my home. And I have a small gym space at my home. I have weights, I have conditioning equipment, I have assault bikes and rowers, and so like the experience over the last, like I would say 10 months, not the month or two after the fight, was um, training as usual, but solo. So lots of kettlebell stuff, shadow boxing, shadow wrestling, conditioning, the strength training, the old school like prowler pushes and D-ball throws and farmer carries. So the training has went on really steady, but it's been solo. And then, it's like I had sporadic partners come to the house that I knew, had tested negative. And so it's been strange, but I've had 10 months of hard training. My weight got up higher than it's ever been. I was back up to 200 pounds. So it's like, and lots of heavy kettlebell stuff and heavy lifts. So the training has been really good, and I feel really good. Um, but yeah, definitely strange. Strange for my family too, having being quarantined for 4 or 5 months.
I think a lot of us feel you on the weight going up. With the training kind of going a little old school, does it kind of take you back to an earlier time in your career?
Yes, like we would have old school every Saturday when we were at Hackelman's. And so I've kind of followed. It's it brings me back to like a little bit more strength training because I was able to do strength training 3 times a week, and conditioning once or twice a week, and then some striking and some wrestling and a little bit of grappling. But like it's really hard to do grappling by yourself, and so there's been like you know up until the training camp started, 60 or 70 days ago, it's like um, it was just, I guess you'd say it was just like strange, but it felt comfortable. And I felt like I was improving, and it felt good. And it did, like, especially the old school, out in my neighborhood, pushing a prowler, throwing a 100-pound D ball, farmer carries, and then the neighbors come out and wave. And I have one neighbor that jumps in with me sometimes. And it's just like, it did bring me back to like old Hackelman days. And I still go out there and I still get those practices in, but it's like far and few between. So yeah, did bring me back a little bit.
Really, just a few days ago now, we saw Ketlin Vieira come out and say, she didn't really feel safe fighting in the pandemic, but it was time to move on. I think your background is pretty well known. You're a guy who's had a brush with death. I mean, do you think about that kind of stuff? It does seem that the UFC has done a great job with the quarantine protocols and all the safety stuff, but is there that what if that kind of floats in the back of your mind at all?
Not at all. The only negative side to this experience is for the last couple of months while I've been training, I've had very specific partners. We've made sure to stay like separated from people. I haven't went into events. The speaking that I do has just all but stopped, so it's all Zoom stuff. I feel bad that I had to extra quarantine my sons. I have a 10-year-old son and a 13-year-old son, and it was like if they had, night games with friends, We had to like the last 2 months, like tell him like, sorry if dad gets sick, like we're not going to get paid. And so I feel like they've went without, but I feel safe. And here, I mean, I feel like we're in like we went on a bike ride yesterday or today, and me and Ramsey did, and it's like Chernobyl. Like there's nobody there, or almost like the Truman Show. Like there's there's like there's people who are working, but outside of that, there's no like no general public. And then the testing is very very strict. Quarantine for a couple of days, a 15-hour flight, quarantine for a couple of days, make sure it's safe. As soon as we're out of quarantine, we tested one more time to make sure everybody has masks on. There isn't a tremendous amount of people, and so I feel safe. I feel safe, and I have a responsibility to take care of my family, and how I provide. Like the number one source of income for the last decade has been competing. So I have to do my job. I have to show up, and I have to. So, and I feel safe
And you get,
outside of going to get into a fight.
of course, and you're going to do so against Carlos Condit. I mean, obviously a
Yeah.
big name in a division, regardless of the slump. I don't want to take anything away from him. Does that kind of name get you more excited ahead of this one, or you just treat it like any other fight?
No. Well, I mean, as far as training goes and preparation, it's like every fight. Every fight that I've had has been the biggest, the most important fight. And I'm sure you've heard that a million times. And that's kind of the mindset I've had my entire career since day one, and first fight. But outside of that, I remember feeling excitement getting an opportunity to fight Jeremy Horn, but that was in my first year of competition, and it was very different headspace. So I can't say I've ever been like, oh, I'm excited for this fight. And I know I've said it a couple of times, but maybe that wasn't being completely honest. I wouldn't say, and for me, fighting's not fun. Like I don't come to get into a fight to have fun. Um, I enjoy the training sometimes, but outside of that, like I come to fight to get into a fight to hurt you, to find a way to win, to find a way to beat you. And so I wouldn't say it's fun, but when I got the name Carlos Condit, I don't know that I've been excited for a fight, but I am excited for this fight. He'll bring it. He won't run away and run around the ring. He'll bring the fight. And I got into this to fight the best guys in the world, and Carlos Condit is one of the best guys in the world. And so, not only is it a privilege and an honor, but man, he's a seasoned veteran, and anybody who knows MMA knows who Carlos Condit is. And I mean, the once I posted that I was fighting Carlos, like everybody's like, awesome, man. Like, and every other person's like, dude, like he's my favorite fighter, but now I'm rooting for you, and it's just like one of those things, man. It's going to be an excellent fight for the fans.
Absolutely. I think we're all excited for this one, so I wish you the best of luck on Saturday.
Hey, thanks, man.
Our next question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Cape Cyclists.
Hey, Court, can you just describe the emotions for this fight week? I mean, does it change it up because it's been a layoff? You're on Fight Island, it's Condit. I mean, does it feel like business as usual over there for you?
Um, Business as usual in the training and preparation. Um, Definitely the strangest fight week I've ever had, like the quarantine. But there is like the focus. There is nothing else to focus on but the fight. Like there is zero distractions. And so I don't know. It's strange. Business as usual as far as training goes, but strange fight week. It's like we're in a city with no people, and so when you're going through the like, I don't know. That's strange, but the focus and the willingness to go out and compete at my best has never been as high as it is. So
What's the toughest part? Is it the time zone? over there training? Is it the fact that, being in the hotel quarantine, does it affect kind of your flow in terms of how you like to deal with fight week? What's the toughest part?
No, I wouldn't say there's a tough part. It's like it is perfectly fitted to my training schedule. But in this training camp, it's like I've had practices in Utah at 11 a.m., 10 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m., and 7 p.m. And like here, my sleep schedule is 3 p.m. to like 11 p.m. And then I wake up and, I do a little shakeout at like 3 or 4 a.m. And then I do my hard workout at like 6 to 7 a.m. around my fight time. And so it's not the same schedule that I'm on sleep schedule in Utah and not the same training schedule, but those training times in Utah are very similar to where I was training before. It's just like a weird sleep schedule, but my willingness to as soon as I got off the plane, I did a workout and then I went to bed right at 3. I got it planned out as soon as I got here and I just did it. And so it falls right in line. I'm willing to go to any lengths to show up 100% on fight day. So nothing has changed in that, and I feel focused, and I know what I'm here for, and so the distraction or the lack of distraction doesn't matter. And I bring a lot of experience with all the fights that I've had, the different, or I've fought injured, or I've had a tough training camp, or I've had a really good training camp, and or I had a really tough weight cut, and so like I bring all those experiences, and I have comfort that no matter what I go through, I'll be okay. And with the training that I am very confident in the training that I've had in quarantine, out of quarantine, and the time in Vegas and the quarantine on just this like extended fight week. I'm ready. I'm ready to go to war. So I feel good.
I understand. I want to shift gears a little bit. They're bringing back The Ultimate Fighter. You obviously know what it's like to go through that and win. Do you have any advice for the new guys or girls who are going to be going through the show soon?
Yes. No matter what, don't ever give up. Get on your schedule and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it's life changing.
I think nothing more needs to be said there. My final question, kind of the elephant in the room, but Court, we know that you're on a bit of a rough skid. No fighter likes to think about it, but very bluntly, do you feel like you're possibly fighting for your UFC job on Saturday?
I feel like I've been fighting for my job every fight that I've had in the UFC. I don't, it's like I've had 2 close decision losses, both exciting fights against great guys. Performance wise, like I show up and I bring it every time for all 20 or whatever fights I've had in the UFC and Ultimate Fighter House. I've fought the best guys in the world. I don't focus on the wins and the losses. They also, obviously they help motivate me to change little things and maybe change things mentally. And I feel like I've made those adjustments. But I don't try to dwell on, oh, well, this could be the last. Like every fight could be the last fight. Every training camp could be the last one. I've had 10 or 11 major surgeries. I could be one injury away from not being able to compete. And so it's like I try not to dwell on those things because I think it hinders my training and my progress. But I just feel like I'm going to go out and give Carlos the best Court McGee that the world has ever seen.